Okay, so here's my final project, the productivity timer. And what it is, or actually what it ended up being, is a simple timer application that allows a person to break their smaller or their larger tasks into smaller pieces and times those pieces so they can stay on task. Studies have been done that this works really well for people with ADHD, and I've tried it myself and it seems to work really well for me. The features of the productivity timer are that you can add tasks dynamically to a list. You can either use it as an Android application, or you can go on the web through either a mobile browser or a PC browser. It works in both. You can pick times to run each little task. Each time you run the site, you are in a session, like a study session or a chore session, as you will see in the demo video. And for each task, you can select an amount of time from 5 to 30 minutes in 5-minute increments. When the time is up, you can either move on to the next task, or you can snooze and repeat that specific task on the timer. Here are some screenshots of the web version in a shrunk down web browser. So if you wanted to open up a new window and have this on your desktop while you're trying to do stuff on your computer, you could do that. It's not very flashy, it's very plain and very unobtrusive, which makes it handy for this application. And then here it is actually running a time session. The technologies I used are HTML5, CSS3, jQuery Mobile for a lot of the templating, for the visual parts of it, and I used JavaScript to run the timer and store the session variables. And then, once that was all done and working, I used PhoneGap to package it through the Adobe Creative Cloud. The project process was actually kind of haphazard, but it all worked out in the end. I sketched a basic layout, which once I saw the templates available in Dreamweaver, I just kind of said, okay, this bites. I'm going to go with the templates because the templates look a lot nicer. It makes it very simple and very clean and very easy to code, actually. The jQuery elements that are built into Dreamweaver are actually very nice. I designed the logic for how the tasks were stored and the timers would run. And then I found a JavaScript timer online that was free to use. And it actually works pretty well for the purposes that I needed, though I did modify it some for this project. I did preliminary testing in both PC browsers and the iPhone Safari browser. I looked at PhoneGap's website, and it's actually somewhat confusing. It used to be that PhoneGap was a thing you installed, and you can still do that, I guess. I really couldn't figure that part out. But when I got a license for the Creative Cloud, I noticed that there was a PhoneGap builder. And the PhoneGap builder for the simple project that I have and the site that I have actually worked really well. I was actually able to create my first test version in less than 5 minutes. It was actually very, very easy. I did run into some problems testing it as an application because I found out that iOS development sucks if you don't have a developer license or a Mac or any of that stuff, which I kind of knew, but I didn't realize how difficult it was. I'll get into that a bit more in a minute. So I made a post to some social networks, and a friend offered to help me test it on her Android tablet, which I will have a demo video of at the end of this. I created the final version, and my friend tested it. She said that it worked okay, and then she did a demo video for me. Issues. Here's the fun part. Time was an issue, but you knew about that already. We don't need to get into that. iOS is a pain in the rump to develop for. $99 for a year for a developer license. I don't have that kind of money. So making this as an iPhone app, yeah, wasn't going to work. I did do a cross-platform build because it automatically tries to do a cross-platform build. The iPhone build failed, obviously. And I believe the BlackBerry also failed for some other reason that I didn't quite understand. But it actually worked for a couple formats that I've never heard of. Some HP thing and some other format that I don't remember the name of at the moment. But it worked for Android and it worked for Windows Phone. And I really don't know anyone with a Windows Phone, so I had my friend test it for Android. The timer does not work as well as I'd like, in the sense that once you get it going, the timer has to run out. You cannot if you get done with it before the time is up, you can't just say I'm done and move on to the next thing. You actually have to wait for it to run out and go to the next thing. I tried to build in an I'm done button so you could move on to the next thing, but I could not get it to work. It isn't very flashy. It is kind of dull looking. I personally like it that way, but others might think it's kind of boring. The web version has a sound that plays when the timer runs out. It's actually the Final Fantasy Victory fanfare because I'm kind of a geek. The app version, however, does not play the sound. I don't know why. It just doesn't. If you add things in an order and the times don't go in number order, it kind of adds them randomly. I'm not sure why it does this. So even if you add them in the order you want to do them, you can't guarantee that it's going to stay in that order, if that makes any sense. I'm not sure why it does this. I tried to figure out why it does this, but I couldn't figure it out. Also, you cannot check the inputs that you type in. You can actually add a blank zero-time event. Again, I tried to add form validation into it, and no matter what I did, it did not validate. It didn't do anything. So I'm really not sure why that failed, and I really didn't have time to poke at it any further. So in short, if you have a site that's optimized for mobile, has HTML5, jQuery, CSS3, JavaScript, and it's pretty simple, but you want to turn it into a native app, you can do that using PhoneGap. It isn't very robust, though. You can't do a whole lot with the device through the Adobe Creative Cloud build interface, which is what I used. And I'll try to show you that here in a moment. But it is very easy to do. It's not very robust, but it is very easy. If you don't have an Apple iOS dev license, you can't do iOS apps. Just can't, because you don't have the certification, and when you try to build it, it says, nope, not going to do it. I did find an application that works better than mine, obviously. It's called 3030. It's pretty nice. I actually use it myself quite a bit. The only problem I have with it, and the one reason why I might use my timer instead, is because my timer has a little snooze feature where you can redo that particular task, and the 3030 app does not have that. So at least mine is somewhat original in that sense. If I had more time to poke at this, I could make it a lot fancier and a lot better, but I didn't have the time. So please stay tuned to the end of this video for an application test from my friend. And if you have any questions, obviously you can email them to me. I realize this isn't a live presentation and you can't just ask me now, but if you send me emails, I will answer them. Thank you. And that's the end of my slides. And let me show you really quick Adobe Creative Cloud, because I've Googled this like 5 billion times today. And I'm pretty sure it's going to prompt me to log in. Yes, it is. Let me do that real quick. I actually got the Adobe license because I wanted to be able to use newer versions of Dreamweaver. So oops, wrong email. And the nice thing about the Creative Cloud is you have the newer versions of Dreamweaver and Illustrator and all that good stuff. You don't have to actually buy the software. You can just auto-update it as long as you have the license. I ended up buying it because right now I have CS4 and it does not support jQuery mobile. So having the newer version of Dreamweaver actually helped me complete not only this project, but most of the assignments for this class. Why are you taking forever to log in? Alright, let me see if I can navigate to my bookmark here. It's still being a pill. Let me try this again here. Here we go. So here's my app as it shows up now. As you can see, the iOS and the BlackBerry are in red because their builds didn't work. They have this error. It says must provide a signing key, which you have to have the license for. And then here, data section is too large. I'm not sure what they consider to be too large. I really don't know. But see here, it built for Windows Phone, some HP. I'm not sure what that is. And then Android was here. So I downloaded this APK file and I emailed that to my friend with the tablet so that she was able to install it. And the other neat thing about this is if you click Settings, you can upload new source code here and you can rebuild. You can choose your icon, which I just did a Google search for timer clip art. Change your app title, your version, configuration, description, blah, blah, blah. You can delete it if you decide you don't want to have it anymore. And then if you have a QR reader, you can scan that and it'll help to download it. And at the end of this, I'm going to tack on the videos for the demo because they need a little bit of editing. So that's the end of the screen recording. Thank you, and stay tuned for the video demo.